Okay, let's see if this is working. Seems to be. Okay. So I'm going to quickly talk about over the next few minutes just where we are in crypto at the moment and also just look at the gold markets. I haven't really looked at anything yet for today. But so I'm just going to start going through things and just see how everything looks and kind of give my random thoughts out here or there um, as I go through various charts. Okay, so let's start with crypto first. Right now, I'm looking at the overall market cap. So I think the key narrative with the overall market cap at the moment is that we're at this key point, and this is just reflective on, across all the different projects. If you can see like where we are, I think we're at a key point in general everywhere, and it's coinciding with the overall market cap being at $2 trillion. This was obviously a pretty key area before, which acted as resistance, was support, blah, 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 blah. Also, it's just the whole number overall in general. So I think what we really want to see is, sorry, let me turn that fucking sound off. The fuck is that? There we go. Turn that shit off. Okay. So I think what we just really want to see overall in terms of the overall market cap is whether we can really break 2 trillion and then kind of retest towards that 2.5 level and see if we can get past beyond that. But this 2 trillion level is obviously really, really key. And right now, just from the charts alone, everything looks, really, really positive. There's no reason to really suspect that it's going to, you know, not be too great from here forwards. What I really would like to see is if we can really break through this $2 trillion level like significantly and then just kind of make it as support. The standard bullshit, let's draw out the rectangle here. Yeah, this kind of level here, which is basically acting as resistance at the moment. I would like to see if we can make this actually support. That would be really, really good to see, and then really build from there. Essentially last time we kind of failed to do so, right? I think that was kind of the key narrative. We failed to make that 2 trillion market cap level support. We broke through it a couple of times, but we just broke right back down it. But now that we found a much stronger, clear support level at the 30,000, have really gone back up from there. If we break through this again, that would be really, really positive because that's basically kind of the third time we're going to significantly break over that on the day chart. And then if we make that support again, that could definitely signify potential higher levels. All right, so I think in general that looks pretty good. And what I was talking about in terms of this reflecting each project as well, in basically all projects right now, we're looking at a point where we're at a key support and resistance level that we need to break through, right? With Bitcoin, we're at 47. And again, the chart, very similar to the overall market cap chart, obviously just because Bitcoin dominates the market. We're seeing really, really good pullbacks and then bounces off key levels, making former levels or former resistance levels, new support, blah, 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 and everything is just looking really good. What I would say is that if, in particular, if we break through this 47K level, right? Let's draw the rectangle here too. If we break through this level, which has obviously been very, very important in history, that's going to look really, really good and probably going to signal very, very positive signs for the alt market. So that's going to be really, really good to see. And we'll probably then, if we break through that pretty clearly, I don't see why we're not going to go back to this general head and shoulders choppy area here. And then that's really going to be the next important thing. But we have room to go, and alts have still maintained quite a lot of their old value. So, um, I mean, if you want to really take a punt on altcoins, I mean, you better get on the train sooner rather than later. Otherwise, I think you may miss out just on the key risk to reward. I'm not saying that you can't make money if once we break past this range and we start charting to potentially all-time highs or even breaking through that. I'm not saying you can't make money, but your risk to reward is just going to start looking shittier and shittier and shittier and shittier and shittier. So that's really something important to remember. Um, when you're taking such high risk, you definitely want high rewards. So as markets get to these higher and higher levels, it's just going to the risk to reward is you're just of course any of these coins could ultimately 100x moon, but you're always just taking a massive gamble at that point, right? So you want to make sure that your risk to reward is there. That's what I always think is really, really important when trading crypto in general. With ETH, we're kind of at the same point where that 3K level is really the key level, and we're just building sideways choppy price action here. We're struggling to get past it, just as we're struggling with the whole market to get past the 2 trillion level. So again, if we break through that significantly and get back to like even 3.5, 3.6, those kind of areas, and then go back down to build support, that would be really, really good. So let's draw this out again. You guys can see how I'm drawing out my triangles, and then you can start practicing yourself, and or maybe I'm really bad at recognizing support and resistance, and you can develop your own strategy. Totally up to you, but you can just kind of see how I'm doing things right now. So if we really break through this and get back to about here, I would say, where we had that really kind of choppy price action initially with ETH when we reached that all-time high, and come back down to make it support again, and then see some sideways price action here before going higher, I think that would be really, really good to see. Or at least that's what I would dream to see in terms of ETH. I've been loading up on ETH here, as I've been mentioning before. I've been buying pretty much since back here. Not here, but since about back here, I decided, fuck it, we're getting to the point where it makes sense, I think, to start accumulating. And then I've been accumulating all the way up here. Admittedly, once we started hitting about 2.728 and then the 3K level, I still have been buying, but I'm definitely buying smaller amounts each time. Like I'm not putting as much cash in each purchase that I'm making. Right now, I'm kind of making daily purchases, or purchases every other day. But initially, I was making, larger purchases, I would say, on a daily basis. And here I've definitely reduced that amount to by 50%. Because again, the risk to reward is, I think, not looking as good. I'm super bullish on ETH in the long run, but I know that that ETH can't just go up forever. Of course, it's going to come back down. So I just want to be a little bit smarter with how I'm putting it in. Um, I still think it's worth, if you're long term bullish on ETH. And even by long term, this could mean within the next year, or actually legitimately long term, like 5 or 10 years. I still think that this is a pretty decent price. Also, just given how the whole market is holding at the moment. But, um, you know, I mean, especially for getting past this key resistance level here, I'm definitely starting to get a little bit more tentative. And the worst thing that you can really do, in my opinion, in these types of markets is just go full on YOLO, and then um, the market beat down, and then you just kind of start to second guess yourself. So you want to avoid that, of course. All right. The other important thing I would really say is that, again, the crypto market right now, as we can see recently from more recent price action in the past year or so, it's just so clear that so many people are leveraged now in this market versus before. And that's what's causing these ridiculous run-ups, these short squeezes, and also these huge liquidation kind of cascading waterfall drops. Um, we've had a very, very, very strong run-up here again, this squeeze here, back up to 3,200 level. with ETH, and you always just wonder, okay, when is the next big cascading drop going to happen? I'm not saying that's going to necessarily signal like a huge um, complete reversal back to bear mode, but I'm sure that even in the so-called bull run type of things, we're still going to probably see big liquidations like we saw here, and so forth. Um, so I know that these things are going to be coming. You need to be aware that this is going to be coming. So you also don't want to just be buying at times when we're just, after, let's say, how many days now of straightforward, basically full on bull price action we've had. You don't want to just kind of FOMO in when you could actually potentially catch one of those cascading waterfall drops, which is going to happen. Again, that's the thing. It's going to happen in this type of leverage market. So again, yes, I think it makes sense to accumulate, but be patient. Okay. Um, I want to take a quick look at ADA because this is just fucking insane. What's happening with ADA here. And yeah, obviously there was a lot of announcements. I'm still just not a big long-term believer in this project yet, if I'm completely honest. I just haven't seen anything that's going to signal to me that I need to get into this full on. I do have a position in it, but it's very small compared to my ETH position, of course. And yeah, maybe I'm missing out on a key opportunity here, but I've seen this a lot with ADA before when I've looked at this project in terms of price action for, years now, and ADA can really pick up a lot of bullish momentum out of nowhere just because of its leader, because of the community, because all those different things. And man, it can also crash so hard. And I just feel like that this is kind of going to start happening again. I feel like a lot of people are going to sooner or later get burned on this project in the short term. Okay, in the short term. Um, I just I just can't confidently say that you know $1.50 is a price point of like history, as in we're never going to see this again. I just don't believe that because again the developments aren't there. Like the really 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 strong fundamental developments I still feel aren't fully there. So let's see. That's just my 2 cents on that. But yeah, overall, like I said, altcoins in general, I think still represent a pretty good opportunity if you can find a good one. BNB honestly looks pretty good. Just given where it is, given the all-time high, I still think that the risk to reward ratio could potentially be there. Of course, it's had a run up since its pullback to about 250. But just because you didn't get in here doesn't mean you can't make any money here. And I think the risk to reward ratio obviously is much stronger for BNB, which obviously has Binance. It's backed by Binance, has an extremely strong use case. The risk reward is much better than with ADA, of course, right? So that's what I'm saying. I think you need to really look more for like if you want to really get into altcoins and take a gamble right now. You need to find opportunities with better risk to reward. I feel, for example, that BNB has a better risk to reward than ADA right now. That's just my 2 cents. Um, so you have to look at the market and see different types of things. Okay. Let's also take a look at my Vechain trade. Yeah, so actually this has done exactly what I wanted, which is great. I'm not a genius or anything. This just has just I just got really lucky that this has seemed to do what I wanted. So we pulled back pretty much to 11 point whatever I said, which is really, really good. Seems like we've made a support. Now we're going higher. Of course, just like with the rest of the market, the $2 trillion level seems to really coincide with about, the 15-cent level on VeChain. If we break that, I can see VeChain just continuing on. With a project like a shitcoin like this with a big community, I don't see why we won't get to 20 cents back to 25. I still think that there's a lot of room to go in this. Of course, if it goes against me, fuck it, whatever, I know the risks that I'm taking. Okay. Yeah, so anyways, overall I would just say we're at a key level. To summarize everything that I've been looking at in terms of the market here for crypto, we're at a key level. Look for good potential opportunities, just given all-time highs, risk to reward, and all those things. If you're looking to get into a certain altcoin position, let's see if we can find something else. Dot was another one, which a few days ago I thought was really, really interesting in terms of getting in. It was something that wasn't picking up nearly as fast as a lot of the other protocol projects. Now it's getting to a point where I feel like the risk to reward is starting to go away. But if this is something that you really wanted to get into, Dot could be a potentially interesting project or opportunity. ICX, let's see what we're looking at. ICX is also starting to look pretty decent. So I think there's still opportunities out there. Just make sure you're really smart about what you choose to put your money in and understand that, especially when you're taking a gamble with an altcoin, there's a good chance that you could lose a significant portion of the money that you're gambling. Okay. So that's all it is. But in terms of just the overall market setup, it's starting to look really, really good, or it is already looking good. And you want to make sure that you get in sooner rather than later if you want to take a gamble. Okay. Let's take a look at gold. So gold is also another really has been also really interesting the past week. I wish I could have done more videos on it, but I've just been kind of busy, and I've just been kind of eyeing gold from afar. I've been focusing a lot more of my actual, um, like putting money, like actually investing into crypto at the moment, just given where we are. But I think gold is really, really interesting. What I said in the last gold video that I did, I felt like 1750 was already a really good chance to buy. And if it was going to go lower, I was actually feeling really, really bullish on it. And then we had that flash crash, which was really, really ridiculous, And man, I mean, if you got into like gold, even at around the low 1700s or 1720s, you are profiting fucking big right now. And it was just so clear in my eyes that just given where we were fundamentally, the inflation problem, all those different things, with the Fed just, pussyfooting, um, man, gold at anything at 1750 and below is looking good. And I was saying that, yeah, I mean, I don't see why we don't get to 1800, which we did. And now we're seeing that rejection. But I feel like my personal opinion is just that over the coming weeks, especially leading into that big Fed meeting, which is in about 3 weeks from now, we're going to retest 1800 again. I mean, it would be nice to see if we could go back down to 1760 or so and make, kind of touch on that to signify a pretty nice pullback, um, which would be really, really strong, and then go further up like that. That would be really good to see. But overall, I'm still pretty bullish that we're going to potentially break through 1800. And even if we don't, though, this is what I just want to also say about gold at the moment. Um, I think that because of all the mixed narratives, how the economy is improving, blah, 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 but then with the high inflation still, and just everything going on, the ridiculous monetary policy, um, I think we just also have to realize that I just don't see, okay, from like, let's just look at it from a weekly chart standpoint. I don't see how we could, just given also the fundamentals, okay, given all the fundamentals, I don't see how we're ever going to see a gold that gets below this double bottom that we had here, and then this also flash crash bottom. And I don't see, and even if we did go through that below that, I just don't see how we would go above 1600 anymore, with gold in the foreseeable future. I just do not see it. I don't see how that's possible. Okay. Like just think about it realistically. Just think about all the price action we've seen, for the last year or so. All of the monetary policy that we've seen that the Fed implement, COVID, the inflation numbers, all those different things, all the money printing, et cetera, et cetera. Given everything, right? Just think about it logically. Do you honestly see gold going below 1600 anytime in the next 1 or 2 years. I just don't see it. Even if the Fed were to raise interest rates, okay, which I still struggle to believe that they're going to do sooner rather than later. The stock market would fucking hurt so bad, and so many people will get fucked, and they just know it. Again, the Fed has fucked themselves. Okay. So, but even if they did that, I just still don't see how we can go below 1600. I just don't see it right now, just given all the market conditions. So, with that being said, if we aren't going to be going below 1600, right? If we aren't going to be going below 1600, and if you believe that 1900 is easily achievable, or that we're going to be breaking our all-time highs in gold eventually in the next 1 or 2 years, okay, then purely from a longer term, either swing trading standpoint or from an actual investing standpoint, anything below 1750, 1720, 1700, or this bottom here are all great position or great price levels or price points, in my opinion, to buy into gold. Again, speaking about risk to reward, the risk to reward is there. The risk to reward is there. So there may be a bunch of you that may be really kicking yourself that you didn't get into this flash crash here, that you didn't take a position here. But chances are, is just with short-term volatility, we'll see potentially a drop below 1750 again or whatever. But these are times where in my opinion, you should still be getting greedy. You should still be getting greedy. And I know that the Fed says, and if you read also a lot of mainstream financial media like investing.com or Bloomberg or whatever, it just seems like they're pushing this narrative that the dollar is going to dominate, the dollar is going to win. But look, the dollar is dominating already right now. Okay, it seems like that what we were talking about before about gold, about dollar going back below here may not happen. We're breaking through this point again. But regardless of that, gold is still strong. Gold is not capitulated like it should if the dollar is actually breaking past this level here. Okay. I think people are aware of the long-term issues with the dollar right now. And the Fed is aware with the long-term issues of the dollar. And I just don't believe this narrative that a lot of these financial media outlets are pushing that because dollar is just going to be so strong with potential raises in interest rates or tightening monetary policy, that gold is also just going to plummet that bad. I don't believe it. And I also just don't see that the Fed is going to react as quickly as they claim. I just don't believe it, even with the big meeting in the next 3 weeks. Yes, we could see some big news. Yes, we could get a huge dump out of it, but I just feel like those dumps are going to start presenting more and more and more and more and more buying opportunities, because we're we're at the lower end of things still, I think, in terms of gold, especially if you believe that 1600 isn't going to be broken through anytime soon. So I still think we're on the lower end of things, and that's something to bear in mind. Okay. So anyway, in terms of like the very short term, let's see if we're going to pull back a bit to 1750. I feel like that's probably likely, and that would be really nice. But ultimately, then, if we do see that, I think and we get a bounce, I think that's signaling very good things for a potential revisit of 1800 and breaking through that. But then don't forget, guys, in the sort of longer swing trade thinking of things, or long-term investing thinking of things, I believe that we're definitely on the lower end, and you may regret not getting in at these types of opportunities in the future. Anyways, that's all for today. Take care, guys.